When managing a team, agreement does not equal success. Okay, let me break that down. In today's video, we'll go through how feedback or the lack of feedback can have an effect on your team. We'll go through data from researchers. We'll also use my personal experience from past 10 years after managing people from over 17 different countries. And we will see how if we are surrounded by people who are doing nothing but agreeing with us can lead to critical failure in our project. We'll go through what are the barriers to feedback. We'll also check out what are the feedback culture pillars that can help your team manage a great culture in terms of feedback. And we'll also go through how AI can actually come into the picture in terms of giving feedback, how it can help you as managers to free up some time and focus a little more on feedback, how to give feedback, how to get feedback, how to implement what you get as a feedback, and also how AI can help in general in terms of managing your team better. What are the barriers to feedback according to research? So at most companies, politics are the death of collaboration and feedback. Okay, so a lot of people fear how company politics can have an effect on their job, on their job safety, how their feedback, when they give feedback to their managers, how their feedback can have an effect on their long-term relationship with the manager, and thus they just fear giving feedback, as it brings punishment and it brings difficult conversations that they cannot handle, neither the manager nor that team member. Also, there's a feeling at a lot of companies, and for a lot of people, I have been in that situation, I think on both sides, is the why bother, right? You're just in a situation where you have a problem maybe with your manager, maybe with processes or flows, and you just have the feeling like, why would you bother to raise the issue, sit down and talk about it? Because you've never seen change based on your feedback, based on criticism. You just never seen the change a company should or could make for it to make it better for the team members. Also, as I mentioned, fear is a big part of not giving feedback to our managers or to our team leads. According to research, 43% of employees fear speaking up because they fear of losing their job. Okay? A lot of people in companies who are making their salaries, making their money, they just fear of losing that kind of security that they have, that they can provide to their families, they can pay the bills, and bringing up issues that maybe trigger some, emotion or trigger some problems with the manager or the team lead, they just do not see the benefit of doing it. And that goes back to the why bother, right? Because if they would know that there will be benefit from their feedback, because, they give feedback, then the manager is going to think about it, maybe take it to their manager and then figure out some change in the processes, in the feedback loops, whatever it is, the problem, then they would not fear for that because they would not have the why bother mentalism. And from another point of view, you as managers, if the team does not share their feedback, does not share their concerns, you can miss critical insights on your processes, on your projects. You can miss those significant informations just because your team members, your employees, they don't want to share the information with you because why bother? Because of company politics and because they just fear speaking up. So now we see what we miss by not building up the culture and the safety for our team members and employees to raise their voice so we can improve better as a team. So let's check out what would be the feedback, the cultural feedback pillars that we should build so we have a company culture and a team culture where we can improve, where we can give feedback, and where we can move forward. We have three main pillars for our company feedback culture, right? The first one is going to be psychological safety. Okay, so how can we build psychological safety within our team? So what kind of tools do we have to do that as managers? I think the biggest one that you could use is the actual one-on-ones. Okay, that is the session, that is the meeting, that is the regular event where you can build a relationship with your employees, with your team members. If you don't spend time with them, if you don't ask feedback, if you don't use coaching mechanisms, coaching questions, then you're going to miss the opportunity to build that culture, build that relationship, and that psychological safety, that they can share feedback, they can talk about it, and then actually things happen. That's going to be point number 2. But how AI comes into this? Because what I see as an excuse most of the time is that managers say they don't really have time for it. They don't really have time to prepare for the one-on-ones. They don't have time to take care of everyone. But that's exactly what they should do. There are less and less occasions where we can raise the excuse, I don't have time for it. In the age of AI, we have tools at our fingertips that we could use, okay? So for example, for the one-on-ones, I talked about it in a previous video. You can check it up here. We can use different kinds of prompt sets that help us prepare, okay? So helps us prepare, and then also to summarize the one-on-one meetings, and then also the in-between to actually conduct the one-on-one. What kind of coaching questions should we use? What kind of things that are important for that specific team member? Okay, so this would be just one example for psychological safety and how AI can actually connect to this and how AI can actually help you build that up. If you want to check out the prompt for the one-on-one prep and summary and how I use it, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment one-on-one, and I'm going to share the PDF with you with all the prompts. Okay, let's jump on to number 2, pillar number 2, and that's going to be action on feedback. Okay, so we talked about it in the previous point that the why bother mentality comes out of employees and team members when they just don't see action on feedback. Okay, when they just give feedback even though they fear for their safety, and then nothing happens. Okay, so another thing that you have to do is connecting to the one-on-ones as well, is that once you get feedback, you have to act on it. Okay, so one of the things that the summary part of the one-on-one does is that it collects the action items from the one-on-ones and helps you schedule them, helps you set reminders for them, and then you can make sure to take those action items that is yours to do and then actually act on it. Okay, because that's the cause of the why bother mentality, is that we do not have any action on feedback. Okay, so that's one example. Another example would be to actually have sessions, not with your team members, but once you gather the feedback, to have sessions with your upper management. Okay, to have sessions with your upper management and then discuss what are the points, the feedbacks that came in, decide where to move forward and where to decline that feedback or that request, and then do an action plan. Okay, still, you can use AI to build up a preparation for this meeting, to do a summary, to do an action plan, to set reminders, and then make sure to act on it. Okay, because that's going to be the heart and soul to actually remove the why bother mentality from the company. And the last pillar gonna be visibility of change. What does that mean? It means that once you have psychological safety, once you have action on feedback, then you have to actually show that things change. Let's say you get a feedback, okay? You got a feedback and then you actually acted on it. You acted on it and you did it. Great. And then what happens next? You have to communicate that, okay? You have to communicate it within the company, company-wide email, social post, say it on meetings that you actually, there was a feedback, then you acted on it, and then sometime later, you're gonna have to show data that it actually improved things. Okay, I don't mean statistics, I don't mean exact numbers, but I mean data and feedback on what went better. You have to tell the people that they gave you a feedback, you acted on it, and then it actually changed things. And that's the end of that feedback loop, okay? So this is where it starts with the safety, and then you act on it, and then the visibility of change. It goes from here to there, and then it comes back to this. Because once you actually do the change and once you actually show that the change happened, then it's going to cause more psychological safety, and then you can get more feedback. And don't get me wrong, there's going to be a lot of managers seeing this and saying that, oh, this is just going to be causing a bunch of feedback that has no value, right? And absolutely. But that's why we do the one-on-ones. This is where we filter the feedbacks, okay? You can filter from the summary what are the actual feedbacks that make sense, and then before you act on it, you also go through all the feedbacks that you got, and then you figure out which one to do and which one you're not going to do, and then it's going to be just those feedbacks that actually brings you value, okay? Because we talked about it. You can miss critical insights just because people are not telling you stuff, because they are afraid, they fear for their money, their salary, and they have the why bother mentality. You have to understand, great leaders does not demand loyalty. They create honesty. That's how you build a real locker room culture. Just to plug in a sports example at the end. So if you want to build teams that grow through feedback, make sure to like and subscribe and check out future videos.